Whisky Fleet were on the west coast fishing, when they heard the news of a grand ship on the rocks not far from where they were. The gallant skippers rushed to the scene in aid of the unfortunate crew of the rock-fast ship. News spread fast of the precious cargo this vessel had stored in her holds, and the government was moving quickly to protect the ship and its valuable load before it was committed to the stormy seas of the Hebridean coast. The exact location was communicated to the heroic fleet of Resarte volunteer mariners, who were desperate to save what they could from this terrible tragedy on the rugged, dangerous, rocky coastline. They were seasoned seamen with many years of expertise, and the young lads on board agile and willing helpers. Excited, they moved with great skill through the difficult, stormy weather amongst the western islands, till they viewed the faithful ship. Sailing close, her name came into view. It was the SS Politician. The crew looked for signs of life, but it appeared there was no life on board. But the crews climbed onto the ship to check her out. Soon down below the deck, they found there were a few broken crates. They smelled of alcohol. The hardy seamen were quick to look throughout the ship's hold and discovered the entire cargo was whisky. This was a welcome nest egg of glorious Highland water, and the Resarte crews were bundling this at breakneck speed out of the hold and loaded down onto their waiting craft. The heroes sailed home with their Highland water well covered with bra fish stocks. When approaching home, a few of the small fleet were warmly notified of the pleasing catch and advised to do a pretend fishing just off the old smuggler's coastline from Scorgie to the Book. The welcome news was received with tremendous excitement amongst the followers of the tasty Highland cream. Two of the largest of the small fleet were stationed nearby at the ready. When the drifters appeared from behind Troop Head, they alerted positions to draw close to the coastline, to be within quick reach of the small craft. The skilled crews dispatched the valuable crates of the Highland catch on board the waiting skipper's boats. Once loaded, the small craft headed quickly towards the Coral Haven shore. It had been well used in the olden days as a smuggler's cove. Waiting on the shore were a few willing helpers with a suitable covered float. This was then driven up the ancient road from the Coral Haven onto the Banff Road to the Broch. This catch was well concealed with a further load of neeps and tatties and driven down to the old town for a hasty unload under cover. Then the rest of the fleet of drifters moored at Portray, and town helpers normalised this homecoming and paved the way for a quiet removal of this eagerly awaited blissful load for their fisher families. All was quietly removed and kept in secret locations within the family homes. The stories within the fisher community was only to speak of the Highland water, and sometimes a more clandestinely HW. Within the community, this was kept secret for many years. The local customs officer was Buchan McLean, who took his work seriously. His wife, Lizzie Tate was a Cairnbog woman and a great friend of my mother. My mother's father belonged to Cairnbog, and Lizzie was linked to the family. Anyway, as time went on and Buchan died, Lizzie came to the house a lot and was a good storyteller. My mum then breached the subject of the whisky or Highland water and told Lizzie they once had 3 crates below my grandmother's bed. Lizzie then piped up sharply, stating, "Ach, that's nothing at all. Buchan the crate underneath his bed in." The local customs officer had his share of the healing water. Well, the local customs officer also had a connection with the whisky raiders. However, that is not the end of the story. We often had ceilidhs in the house on a Saturday night, and occasionally the local police would come and call in to hear the music. Well, once my father gave them a dram as it was New Year time. They enjoyed it so much, my father offered to give them samples home in old medicine bottles. This they accepted with open arms. Little did they know the tasty liquid had ventured from the SS politician. The government ship leaving the UK to the USA with a cargo of expensive malt whisky. Part payment for munitions. The captain had struggled amongst the rocky Highland waters on a diverted sea voyage to avoid enemy submarines. The unfortunate vessel struck rugged rocks underwater at the island of Eriskay in the Hebrides. Rosarte had a strong community and secrets were honoured and tightly kept. Even during World War II, gossip was restricted to elementary topics, although there was high waves running locally.